Hello friends. Container grown plants require occasional repotting to keep them healthy. You must not only know when to repot but also know how to repot a houseplant. Today we'll look into some important rules on repotting, like when to repot your plant and very important tips on how to repot your houseplants. That's coming up. Welcome back. If you're a hobby gardener or interested in growing plants, consider subscribing to this channel. Also turn on the notification bell icon so that you won't miss any updates. Repotting houseplants might seem like a simple task, but there is always a risk that your plant may not do well after repotting. What you need to remember is repotting should not be done just like that or too frequently. Generally, for most plants, repotting once every 1 or 2 years is a good approach. So now we'll quickly look into some points that indicate that your plant really needs repotting. So you need to look out for certain signs that indicate your plant needs repotting. The first one is if you see a lot of roots coming out through the drainage holes, which indicate that the plant is root bound. Also, if you find matted roots near the soil surface, and when you remove the root ball you see root bounding, that is a compact masses of roots tangled around the root ball with hardly any space for the roots to grow further. Then look for other signs like the plant experiencing slower than normal growth, especially during the growing seasons. Then water running out quickly through the pot and coming out of the drainage hole in a flash. This happens when there is not enough soil in the pot to catch the moisture. And also this happens if your soil is too sandy. And the next thing is if your plant is experiencing poor flowering and poor fruiting. Then also leaf dropping. These are all signs of plant distress. Plants give these signals because they're not able to draw enough nutrients and moisture from the roots and the soil. If you experience some of these signs, it's likely a good time to repot your plants. However, in order to avoid certain harmful effects of repotting, you need to follow certain rules and tips of repotting. Here are some helpful basic tips and guidelines for repotting houseplants. First of all, we'll look into the prerequisites or things to check or do before repotting. Number 1, water the plant the day before you plan to repot. Then secondly, perform repotting in the evening hours to prevent shock to the plant during sunlight. Then to remove the root ball, gently tap the rim of the pot to a hard surface like a table or a counter. This is to loosen the root ball instead of pulling it with full force. Then, if the root ball resists to come out, run a knife around the pot and the root ball to loosen the root ball. Then finally, inspect the root ball for things like any root worms or root maggots, and also you inspect about root bounding to decide whether you want to repot in a larger container or perform root pruning. Well, after this we'll look into choosing the right container. This is very important. Choose a pot that is of appropriate size for the plant. Like you should never pot a 6-inch plant into a 14-inch or even a larger pot. Go step by step. Choose 1 or 2 steps higher, like a 6-inch pot you can plant in a 10-inch pot, 10-inch pot, and so on. Then the next thing is drainage hole. This is probably the most important factor you should consider. If you're not making enough drainage holes at the bottom of the pot, your plant will stand in water and lead to root rot and death of the plant. Some people advise on adding a heap of clay-rich soil pressed to cover the holes, but this is not wise and can lead to root rot from water stagnation. Instead, use a mesh or a piece of green net or even a piece of cloth or some pieces of broken pot or even pebbles. If you're using broken pot pieces, make sure to keep the curved surface towards the bottom, because if you're keeping it flat on the drainage hole and cover it with the soil, it can block the hole. Then comes choosing the right soil. When it comes to soil requirements, it's very important to choose the type of soil suitable for your plant species or that plant type. As a general rule, use a well-draining, nutrient-rich soil. You can watch my related video titled Universal Potting Soil from a link in the description. Then coming to teasing the roots. During repotting, it's important to tease the roots out of the root ball. This promotes and speeds up the growth and branching of new roots into the new soil. So how do you tease the roots? If the plant is not root bound, just release some roots from the bottom and also at the sides of the plant. And if it is root bound, you need to do some root pruning, that is cutting away some coils of roots that have grown around the bottom of the old pot. You can also perform root ball cutting with a sharp knife to perform root pruning. Then next, for repotting, place a handful of compost into the pot's base. Then place the root ball, or if you remove the soil completely, then place the plant exactly in the center of the pot. Then add additional soil to cover the empty space. Make sure the surface of the root ball is below the rim, so you can cover it adequately with compost and have a good space for watering your plant. Then gently tap that pot to remove air pockets and also to level up the soil. Then after repotting, it's important to give the plant a good watering. You can also water the plant with Epsom salt solution to counter transplant shock. I have discussed this in my previous video in detail. Then place the plant in good indirect sunlight for at least about a week. So there we have it, folks. Those were some of the golden rules for repotting a plant. If you like the video, please click a thumbs up and also share the video and comment something below the video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new to the channel. Happy gardening!